Hi, I'm KSLU General Manager Todd Delaney. Today I'm going to talk with you about news, how to put together a newscast. We do news in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. Basically, that's one newscast that repeats 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. So if you're putting together the newscast, you want to come in probably an hour before that first newscast airs at 2 o'clock. Come in, prepare your news. This tutorial is going to show you how to prepare that news and put it together for air at 3 o'clock. We pre-record them, of course. Sometimes people come in and have done it live in the past, and that's really helpful. I think that helps with the timeliness of it. A couple of things, mainly 4 things that you want to keep in mind when you're putting together your stories. You want to consider your timing. You know, the news part of news is that it's new. That's pretty important. So you want to make sure that the content that you're putting together is new. So this is how to determine how newsworthy each of these stories are. I'll show you how to access those stories here momentarily. But the first thing that you need to consider is how timely is it, or how new is that news piece. The second one that you want to talk about or consider is the significance. How many people are impacted or affected by this news story? So a plane that goes down with 2 passengers on it may not be as newsworthy as a plane that goes down with 200 people on it. So think about the significance, the number of people that are impacted by it. Also the proximity. So when we put together a news story, or a newscast rather, we consider the proximity. So how close is it to our local listeners? So what we'll do whenever we create our newscast is start off with the stories that are most or closest to us. So we'll do maybe Southeastern news, and then we'll do Hammond news or Ponchatoula, those stories in those areas, and kind of spread out from there. Prominence is also a key factor in there as well. So that's the 4th dimension, is that prominence. So if somebody breaks their arm, that's not necessarily news, but if the President of the United States breaks their arm, that might be news and might be newsworthy as well. So keep those 4 things in mind. You got timing, you've got significance, you've got proximity, and you've also got the prominence of the people involved. So right now I'm going to bring you in, get you into the system over here, and we're going to take a look at how to put together that newscast, and we'll do that right now.
So here we are in the newsroom looking at the news PC. First thing I need to do is basically find out where my local news stories are, and then get the state stories, and then we'll get the national and international stories, and we'll stack them in that order. So best way to do that is actually to go and take a look at the morning newscast. Since we're putting together the afternoon newscast, we want to take a look at the morning newscast. And Don Elsie, our news director, puts together a really good local news group. Basically covers the local beat, going to the school board, covers the court system, government system, all that kind of stuff, all on the local level. So let's first off go over there and take a look at his news stories from this morning. We'll incorporate that as our local news in our afternoon newscast. To do that, we'll open up Chrome, go to the KSLU website, and right down here at 8:30, the 8:30 newscast, he saves all of these Word documents right there for the 6:30, 7:30, 8:30 newscast. So we're going to go ahead and put this on the desktop so we'll have quick access to it. Crank that up. We can close out that website right now and just see what he did for the news earlier this morning. So that will load up. Then we're going to go to the Associated Press website. I'll show you how to get to that in just a moment. There, we'll go ahead and grab those state and regional stories along with the national and international stories. And I'm still waiting on this thing to crank up. Where is it at? Let's see. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So we let off with this one about Tangible Parish School Board. So we'll go with that. That looks pretty good. Talking about a woman dying in a wreck yesterday from Ponchatoula. School board. I'd probably put the school board a little bit earlier, and then we get into the rest of the state and regional, international stories from there. So let's take a look at this other school board story. And yeah, we can go ahead and cut that and put it right after our initial school board story. So we'll put that right there. Very good. Okay, I'm going to designate this with a couple of lines there just to let me know that that's a new story. Very good. Cool. All right, so those are going to be my 3 local news stories. The newscast needs to be 5 minutes or less, between 4 and 5 minutes. So that Looks like it's going to eat up about a minute and a half so far of local news stories. So now we need to go in and put together our state and regional news. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of that. In general, one page is about a minute. So I'm looking at about a minute and a half to 2 minutes worth of content right here. So what do I need to do? To go to the Associated Press website, we open up Chrome. And I believe I have this bookmarked already. Hopefully I won't put this on YouTube. But here we go. So my email address, and you saw the password from the tooltip whenever I rolled over it. So we'll click on that, log in, and here we go. So scroll down just a little bit. And over here on the left navigation area, you've got the national, regional, sports, all kinds of different stories. So what we're going to be looking for is in this national, international news section, you've got, my region is where we're going to go next. So state and regional stories. And those are individual stories, usually about 60 seconds each. I'm going to look at the state regional news summaries. So I'm going to click on that. And in the main column right here, I get these news minutes. And these are summaries of some of the top stories in the area, in our region. So I'm going to click on this, the latest news minute. And there we go. So all of this is about a minute if you read it really quickly. So let me take a look at the locality of this. You know, how close to us are these stories? So Gonzales is pretty close. Lake Charles is a little bit farther away. Houma, Morgan City, maybe a little bit closer. Anyway, let's take a look at these, the content of these, and see which ones are going to be more relevant. All right, it looks like what we're going to do is go with this Gonzales story first, and then we'll go to the Morgan City, then Houma, then the Lake Charles story. So let's go ahead and grab those. So we'll just copy that. Come down here and Control-V to paste. And we'll stack those in that order I just mentioned. So Gonzales is first. Then we'll go with the Morgan City one, because it's a little bit closer to us. Then we'll do Houma, because it's almost as close as Morgan City, and then Lake Charles right after that. So now, let's make sure we got this Verdana 14. We'll do the same thing over here. Verdana 14, and I believe he bolds that, so it looks pretty similar. Very good. And now, let's go grab some national news. So that was pretty easy. So now we can close out of this window, X out of it if you want. And we'll do the same thing for the domestic and Washington stories. So, or we can actually click on this national news summaries. Basically the same thing. So let's go to this 10th news minute right here, the latest news minute that they have. And it's essentially the same that we had for the local, but a little bit longer, of course. Now, let's take a look at this and see which ones are going to be most important and most relevant to our audience. Let's take a look. All right, in this situation, I'm going to go with this story, and the last story. So, for a number of reasons, but we'll go ahead and grab those real quick. Basically the same thing right there. So copy, come down, paste, and grab the other one here. And we'll do the same thing with the font and all of that. So just change that over to 14 and bold it, and you're good to go. Cool. Now, it looks like we've got about 4 minutes worth of content right here. What I'll do now is just go through and read it out loud. And that helps me to practice the motions and everything, get the articulation right, and it'll make it a lot easier whenever we come back and actually record this. So I'll run through this really quickly just to train my tongue to actually to be able to say all of this stuff. So here we go. So once we read through the entire thing, we also need to grab a weather forecast also. So let's come on over to the Weather Center. You can go to weather.com. A couple of different places you can grab the weather forecast. But basically, we're going to give a quick little summary of the weather that you can expect. And keep in mind, this is going to run in the afternoon. So you want to do the forecast for tonight, tomorrow, and maybe the next day. So let's grab that really quickly. Actually, we'll just keep this popped up, and we'll just flip over to it. So we'll talk about possible thunderstorms this evening, 50% chance of rain, lows getting down to 74. Tomorrow, high near 95, with a 60% chance of showers in the evening time. And then on Friday, we'll finally see sunny skies, slight chance of rain with a high near 94. So there you have it, and there it is. Let's go ahead and grab the intros and outros. So we'll do the intro, and we'll say, with your afternoon news for today, Wednesday. August 6th. I'm Todd Delaney. There we go. We'll also throw in the outro. Kill that. And let's come on down here and say outro. That's news on 90.9 FM KSLU. I'm Todd Delaney reporting. There you go. Cool. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and record this. So to do so, we need to go ahead and pull up Adobe Audition. So I'm done with the AP there. I can close that out. So let me open up Adobe Audition. Get this recording really quickly. And see how it goes. Also, let me point out that you need to, with your delivery, have a disengaged delivery. Basically an unbiased or an objective delivery. So you don't want to get in here and say, oh, somebody died. Oh, my God. Can you believe it? You want to be disengaged whenever you make that delivery. So when you give that delivery, you don't want to kind of go over the top. You want to be, again, disengaged from it a little bit. So you're basically serving as a voice, just reading the copy. Let's go ahead and do this. Here we go. With your afternoon news for Wednesday, August 6th, I'm Todd Delaney. The Tangipahoa Parish School Board voted last night to direct the school administration and board attorneys to submit the proposed modified parish school desegregation plan to the federal judge handling the school desegregation case for his approval. The directive came on an 8-1 vote following an emotional discussion. The modified plan replaces the original That's all right. I'm going to clap and try that line again. I'll show you why a little bit later on. Here we go. The modified plan replaces the original desegregation plan handed down by Judge Ivan Lamel in 2007. That plan, which is considered to be excessively expensive, calls for the construction of 3 new schools and the transfer of a large number of students. Proponents say the modified plan does away with the requirement to build new schools. It also supposedly minimizes student transfers to achieve integration by relying on magnet schools and special programs in schools throughout the parish to attract students of both races. Brett Duncan, author of the modified plan, says it is working, with many white parents now choosing to send their children to formerly predominantly black schools because of the programs that those schools now offer. The school board also last night named Michael Wells of Hammond to the District G seat on the board. Wells replaces former board member Eric Dangerfield, who resigned under court order last month after pleading no contest to Medicaid fraud. District G is in the city of Hammond. Wells is a former parish educator and is now employed at Southern University in Hammond. Wells is a former parish educator and is now employed at Southern University in Baton Rouge. He will serve until a new board member is elected during the November 4th election. Dangerfield has indicated he will be a candidate for the position. A Ponchatoula woman died yesterday in a single-vehicle wreck on I-70 in northwest Kansas. The Kansas Highway Patrol says Michelle Grabert, 52, was driving west on I-70 when her vehicle drifted off the roadway about 7 miles west of Goodland. Authorities believe Grabert overcorrected, causing the vehicle to cross the roadway where it reportedly rolled over several times. Grabert was well known as a longtime cashier in the Hammond Walmart store. A 28-year-old woman who was riding in the vehicle with Grabert was hospitalized with injuries. Gonzales Mayor Barney Arsenault has vetoed for a second time the city's general fund and capital outlay budgets for the new fiscal year. The veto sets up another possible showdown with the city council over funding priorities. St. Mary Parish deputies say a 22-year-old Morgan City woman is accused of neglecting to give a disabled woman water and food and of stealing thousands of dollars from her through bank card theft. A sheriff's office spokeswoman says the charges against Bethany Daigle stemmed from an investigation that began when 58-year-old victim was found in a malnourished and dehydrated condition. Terrebonne Parish School Board will ask voters to achieve a half-cent sales tax increase to raise teachers' salaries. The board voted yesterday to put the tax issue on the December 6th ballot. A state judge has sentenced a Lake Charles man to 20 years in prison in 2012 hostage situation. Joshua Jermaine Plummer pleaded guilty yesterday rather than go to trial. And the number of deaths from the Ebola outbreak in Africa keeps climbing. The World Health Organization now says the outbreak has killed at least 932 people in 4 countries. The new figures come as authorities in Nigeria confirm the death of a nurse of Ebola. Saudi Arabia also announced 1 death of a person with Ebola-like symptoms. An Afghan military official says the Afghan soldier who killed a U.S. 2-star general yesterday and wounded other top officers hid in the bathroom before his assault and used a NATO machine gun in his attack. The official says the gunman, who was later killed, came from an area that is known to harbor fighters from that is known to harbor fighters from the Haqqani. Hi there, Connie. That is known to harbor fighters from the Haqqani network, which has strong links to the Taliban. The shooting claimed the life of U.S. Major General Harold J. Green. A lawmaker in Uganda says he has started a campaign to reintroduce a recently invalidated anti-gay measure and have it passed within weeks. Uganda's Constitutional Court on Friday invalidated the measure enacted in February, saying it was passed during a parliamentary session that lacked a quorum. Because the court didn't rule on the substance of the law, lawmakers can reintroduce the same legislation, which allows for jail terms of up to life for homosexual offenses. Here's your KSLU Hammond Regional Area Weather Forecast. Looks like tonight we'll have a 50% chance of rain on tap, overnight low getting down to 74 degrees. And then tomorrow a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms join us towards the afternoon and later in the evening. Highs tomorrow expected at 95 degrees. And finally, it's going to be sunny on Friday with the highs right at... Finally, it's going to be hot. Finally, it's going to be nice on Sunday with a 20% chance of rain, sunny skies, and a high near 94 degrees. That's news on 90.9 FM KSLU. I'm Todd Delaney reporting. Wow, that was rough. All right, so this is why I gave up doing news a while back. I kid. Let's go ahead and edit this thing real quick. The reason that I went in here and made those claps is because I don't necessarily have time, perhaps, to listen to the entire thing. But if I make sure that I clap after every mistake, I can visually come in here and say, oh, I made a mistake right here. I need to listen to this section and clean that up. All right, so that should make this thing pretty easy to edit. Let's go ahead and start chopping. Here we go. So when you give that delivery, afternoon news for... That's all right. I'm going to clap. The modified plan replaces Brett Duncan. District G. Wells is a former... It will serve until a new... Wells is a former parish educator. Wells is a former parish... City of Hammond. Wells is a former parish educator. He now serves... It will serve until... University in Baton Rouge. It will serve until a new board member is elected during the November 4th election. Dangerfield for the position. A Ponchatoula woman died yesterday. Gonzalez over funding priorities. St. Mary Parish Deputy. The veto sets up another possible showdown with the City Council over funding priorities. St. St. Mary Parish deputies say a 22 figures come as authority Saudi Arabia. The official says the gunman is known to harbor fighters from the Haqqani. As the gunman who was later killed came from an area that is known to harbor fighters. An area that is known to harbor fighters. The official says the gunman who was later killed came from an area that is known to harbor fighters. That is known to harbor fighters from the Haqqani network, which has strong links to the Taliban. A lawmaker in Uganda. Uganda. Whee! Because the court didn't rule on this. Because the court didn't rule. Finally, it's good. All right, there we go. That's pretty much it. So now we need to go through and we can put a specific amount of space between each of these stories. So you get the idea whenever you listen back to it that that's the end of the story and here's the beginning of a new story. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Separate some of these stories out really quickly with a pretty consistent amount of dead air between each. Segregation case for his approval. The directive claims that the school board also now offer. So that looks good. About a second worth of dead air in there. We can generate, in fact, some silence if you wanted to do that. That's an option. Just put a second of dead air between each of these stories. Let's go ahead and do that really quickly. Candidate for the position. A Ponchatoula. I'm going to hit F2 to do that last command. So F2, and there we go. Brings up the last command that I just did, and just say OK to that. With injuries. Priorities. St. Mary. Theft. A sheriff's office spokeswoman says the charges against Bethany Daigle stemmed from an investigation that began December 6th ballot. A state Joshua Jermaine Plummer pleaded guilty at the number of deaths from Ebola. Saudi Arabia also announced one death of a person with Ebola-like symptoms. The official says the Afghan soldier who killed a U.S. which allows for jail terms of up to life for homosexual offenses. U.S. Major General Harold J. Green. A lawmaker in offenses. Friday with the highs right at. Finally, it's going to be nice on Sunday. Highs tomorrow expected at 95 degrees, and finally, it's going to be sunny on Friday. 95 degrees, and finally, it's going to be nice on Sunday with a 20% chance of rain, sunny skies, and a high near 94 degrees. That's news on 90.9 FM KSLU. I'm Todd Delaney reporting. All right, so you always want to go back through and listen to the whole thing because even though I did clap my hands through a lot of this, you really want to go back. If you do have the time, you want to make the time to go back and listen just to make sure everything sounds as good as it should. And there you go. So from here, we'll go ahead and normalize it. So we'll do effects, amplitude, and normalize. And we'll set that to 90%. Very good. Finally, we'll save this to the K drive by doing File, Save As. And we're going to put this in the news folder. So we're going to go to the K drive. And we're going to come over here to the to News. LMN, News. There we go. And what we're going to be doing is the 45411. So we'll call this 45411 News, and then we'll put it for the date. So today's date goes right in here, 06, and there we are. So now we'll save that. And there we are. That's pretty much it on this computer. We can close out everything else. Don't need to save any of this. And now we can switch over to the Enco computer and just drag and drop that into the system so it plays at 3, 4, and 5 this afternoon. Let's take a look at that right now. And here we are on the Enco computer. So now we just need to drag and drop that file, that news file for the afternoon, into the library. Let's go ahead and open up the library. Click on that button right there. And instead of the all category, we're going to come down to the news category. So just scroll on down to news. There we go. And now we'll come over to my computer, open up the K drive and the news folder on it. So we'll go to K drive, scroll down to news, which is where we just saved this file, and scroll all the way down here and grab the one that we just saved. So there we go. So 45411 news 80614, drag and drop that into the Enco system. So there we go. So now we got the card. So we'll highlight the cut ID and a little space right after it. You can right click now and select cut, come up in the cut ID field and paste it in there, and then hit the close and replace that audio. Click on that, and there it goes. So now, at 3 o'clock today, that audio is going to pop up and play in the system. And it'll repeat again at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So you only have to do that once, save it before 3 o'clock, and it'll air at 3, 4, and 5. There you have it. There it is. And if you have any questions, by all means, ask. Enjoy the news. It's a lot of fun. And again, enjoy it while you got it.